I have the pleasure of introducing our first speaker, James Hall, who's the Vice President of Sales and General Manager for UKI of Snowflake. Really excited about this one. He's going to be talking, or the title of his talk is Building a Leadership Legacy. Bit of bio on James, just so that you've got a bit of background. He brings more than 2 decades of sales experience to his role at Snowflake, having started as a sales manager at Softcat. He's held roles with companies including Fluidata, Gartner, Huddle, and MongoDB, consistently overachieving on quotas, with some in excess of 200 million. James joined Snowflake in 2019 as regional director. He's been promoted multiple times and is now in his current role. And I'd like to welcome James up to the stage. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Clicker?
There is a clicker.
Does it work?
See how you get on, and if not, I'll click.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. Okay, thanks for the introduction. James, thank you very much for the opportunity tonight as well. I know you've been pestering me for ages, so I finally succumbed to coming here tonight, but thank you and welcome. Some of you, or a lot of you probably don't know me. I like to keep myself quite quiet in the industry. I don't self-promote myself that much, but I thought it's probably about time I actually do a bit of this type of stuff. So, pardon? I can help. Yeah, I know you can. I'm going to become a member after tonight. So, my current role is VP of Sales and General Manager of Snowflake in the UK. And I thought I'd do something a bit different tonight. Rather than just talk to you about medic, value selling, 3 Ys and all that stuff which you get rammed down your throat every day of the week, I thought I'd talk about something a little bit different and about building a leadership legacy, okay? And I've only got 7 minutes, so this is going to be pretty tough. So here we go. Right, here we go. Does it work? There you are. So I'll let you read that. So legacy. I think I was 33, 34 when one of my previous leaders said to me, what do I want my professional legacy to be? Now, personally, I knew what I wanted it to be, and I think like many of us, we've got aspirations, either have a family, get married, travel the world, retire at a certain age, earn a load of money, nice big house in the country, whatever it might be. For me, professionally, what did I want to achieve? And I didn't really think about it too much when that individual asked me that question. All I wanted to do was earn a load of cash and progress my career, but I hadn't really given it too much thought. Now, what I'm going to do now is just take you through my journey and allow you to get a little bit of an understanding as to how I got to where I am, and also give you a bit of a flavor as to how I sort of built the legacy that actually I want to leave behind. So I started my career at Softcat. So I think many of you know who Softcat are. I think I was in the first 30, 40 employees. Back then, LinkedIn didn't exist. I just have to go to the local library, photocopy Dun & Bradstreet journals, yellow pages, find people to cold call, yeah? And it's now called PG, so that's how things have evolved over the times. We can go again. And then I rounded off those sharp edges and I went to a company called Gartner, which I thought most of you are aware of. I started there as an IC and I worked my way up into leadership. Now, Gartner's evolved a lot since I was there. I left there when, I can't remember the turnover at the time, but I was running the commercial element of the enterprise business in the UK, so everything but financial services and PubSec. Go again. I joined this little company called Huddle. Now look, everyone's allowed a blob on their CV, and that was my blob on my CV. So apologies, James, that one. But this is where I met this young man here. So next one. And I left Huddle pretty quickly. I think I was there about 11 months. I think it was 9 months actually, but 11 months on my LinkedIn profile. And I joined a company called Zuora. And Zuora was a subscription billing software company. I actually had a pretty good run there. I enjoyed it, but it was very, very niche. We focused primarily on media companies back then. And this is where it starts to get interesting. So I took some time off after Zuora, and I had a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old at the time, and my wife and I decided to just up sticks and go traveling around the world. So we took a 2-year-old and 1-year-old for 3 months, around the world in 80 days, and then I came back, and this little thing happened. This is where I started to think about my life. I was diagnosed with a very rare type of bone cancer and subsequently was in hospital for 12 months and had my right leg amputated. And this is where I started to think about what do I want to do with my life and where do I want to go when I come back to the working world. So bearing in mind I was in Tottenham Court Road, just up the road from here, for 12 months, being pumped full of great stuff. And this is where I started to think about what do I want my legacy to be. And then I joined a company called MongoDB. which for many of you who know, a lot of the ex-BMC guys, leadership ended up in MongoDB. Now, MongoDB, great tech. I loved it. I was there 3 years. I did a GAM role. Didn't want to go back into leadership at the time, although I'd done leadership in multiple other roles. And after 3 years of MongoDB, it was just too much. It was going to break my marriage, so I decided that it was time to leave. And I got a nudge from these guys, this little flake here called Snowflake, and I went in there in 2019 as one of the first-line leaders in the UK. Now, 4.5 years later, nearly 5 years later, I've done first-line leadership roles there, second-line leadership, and now, obviously, I built out the whole of the Middle East whilst I was there, Israel, Spain, Italy, South Africa. I did an array of roles, and then recently just got promoted to run the whole of the UK and I from a country management point of view. Now, just before you flick, going back to the little leg there, obviously it's a prosthetic leg if you haven't guessed it out. When I was in hospital for all that time, I actually went back to that question that individual asked me, said, "What do you want your professional legacy to be?" So you can wrap this up, mate. So I came up with this when I was sat there for days, weeks on end. And this is both my personal and this is my professional legacy. And I'm going to talk to you about how I got to this in a minute. So let's talk about it from a professional point of view, because I don't want to talk to you about my personal life all day. Love. Now, I'm not talking about going around giving everyone hugs and kisses in the office all day long, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. But what I want the teams who work for me and who work for their leaders is to actually really enjoy coming to work every day. Talk about being successful and having fun. Really, really important. If people get out of bed in the morning and enjoy coming to work, then they will continue to deliver for you. You've got to be passionate in this job, yeah, guys. If you're leaders of a company and you're small and you're growing, the leaders are the people that carry people through those hard times. So passion is really, really important. Spontaneity. Thinking outside the box, doing something totally different. Really, really important. If we do things the same way all the time, we're going to get the same results. Sometimes we have to think differently. We have to do things differently. Dream big. I mean, come on. We're all in the companies we are because we're dreaming big. We're expecting those organizations to go somewhere. And that comes down to you as individuals, as leaders, and obviously the teams with whom you work. Celebrate, rewards, recognition, ensuring that everybody is part of that journey and they really, really feel like they're in the boat with you. And then the change the world will go home. This bit's really, for me, is very, very powerful because I joined Snowflake because I generally believe that this organization was going to change the way we work with data, okay? And I think a lot of you here in this room are working for organizations because you generally believe that the organization with whom you work for is going to do something fundamentally different and you want to be part of that journey, okay? Next. So you can build this out if you want, mate. So I'm not going to talk about all of this and one more. Thank you, that's it. So for me, I talk about performance and brand. If you ever end up working in Snowflake or if you ever speak to someone who's worked for me, I talk about performance and brand all day long. I'm not going to talk about performance now because that is sort of almost the base salary that I get paid for. I get paid to make sure I hit my forecast quarter on quarter, that I make sure the teams are enabled, make sure I have the right go-to-market strategy, enable the organization, etc. The bit that I'm really motivated by, and the bit that actually, if you ask, this is in my humble opinion, that makes all the difference is the brand. The brand that you want to create as an individual and the brand that you are creating for your team or your organization, okay? So I'm not going to go through every single little bit of this, but trust, being humble, being genuine, rewards, recognition, we talked about that a little bit in my mantra. Fostering a team, a mentality that ensures everybody's working together. Really, really important. So for me, as a leader, this is the sort of stuff that excites me, and it's what gets me out of bed in the morning. And this is the sort of stuff that my team wake up every day, as in my team of leaders, and they are installing and making their team think about. Next slide, chap. Right. This is an interesting quote. A very good book, if you haven't read it, by a guy called Robert Iger, who's the CEO of Disney. It's called The Ride of a Lifetime. If you're a leader, you've got to read this book. It's absolutely amazing. I read it last summer, and wow, there's so many great quotes that come from it. So the riskiest thing you can do is maintain the status quo. So as a leader, I literally have a healthy paranoia. If I'm complacent, then it's game over. The business might as well pack up shop and go home. So as a leader, you're always thinking, what can you do next? What's the next thing? So if you continue as you are, you're going to fail. The business is either going out of business, or your district or your region will get shut down. Next slide. And I think these are the 9 things that I think about every single day when I talk about what great leaders or what great leadership looks like. Okay, now again, this is my opinion. These are things that I think about. These are things that I'm trying to install in my leaders and subsequently in the teams within the organization. I'm not going to go through every one of these, but I'm going to draw out a few of them. Analytical focus. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, probably longer than that, when I was sort of in the early leadership years, all I wanted to do was be best mates with everybody who worked for me, or everybody that worked for me. And that was the wrong thing. As I've matured as a leader, as much as I want to have a good relationship with the people who work for me and build that trust and have that healthy conflict, for me, you've got to look at the data. You make business decisions based on the data that you're actually provided with. Optimism. I joined Snowflake, I think we're turning over about 10 million in the UK. It's a $150 million business. It's going to be $1 billion in 4.5 years. That's my quota. I've got to be optimistic to the sales team that we're going to get there. Now, I'm shit my pants some days thinking, how the fuck are we going to get to $1 billion? But the point of the matter here is, I can't be seen to have this sort of concerns or worries. I have to be confident, and I have to approach the sales leads and the sales teams. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And this is when we're going to do it by. Adapt to change. I mean, I think we're all probably familiar with the fact that change in our industry is constant. And if you can't adapt with it, then obviously, you will fail. The long view, and I talk about this $1 billion, the decisions I make today will impact obviously how we get to that $1 billion in the next 4.5 years. If I think about a decision based on what I want to do tomorrow, then I'm in essence making the wrong decision. So I always try to think further out. Fairness, treat people with empathy and respect. I think you're probably getting a feel for my type of leadership style. Integrity, again, probably getting a feel for how I am. Being genuine and fair. And I think the last one I just want to touch on here is thoughtfulness. I think some of my learnings of being a leader is we're always quick to judge. And rather than actually take time to really think about a situation, digest it, maybe speak to some other people, gather all that information before we actually make either a recommendation or we sort of take action. We're always so quick, and salespeople are quite, we can be quite knee-jerk sometimes, is probably the way I would describe it. So just pause, think, be rational, and then decide on how you move things forward. So, some key takeaways for you guys. First and foremost is, as leaders, you've got to just know who your audience are. Every single person with whom you've ever managed or will ever manage will be different from the last. And you've got to learn to adapt your style to ensure that they all feel they can trust and they can put confidence in you. So for me, it's all about talent, okay? And there's some amazing talent out there. There's some fantastic talent. I must do about 15, 20 interviews a week, if not more. Surround yourself with the right talent as you build your business, okay? Either hire the right people who work for your leaders, or make sure that the people that are supporting you in supporting functions that maybe are not direct reports are the right people to help you get your business to where you want to get it to. Time, wow, we don't have much time in our job. It is like frantic, as I appreciate you'll probably feel that. For me, investing time with the right individuals is gold dust. The more you invest in people, the more you start to build that trust. There's another good book called The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and it's written by a guy called Patrick Lencioni, I believe. The number one thing is it starts with trust, okay? You can't do anything unless you've got trust. And the only way you're going to build trust in any organization or with any individual is by spending time with them, okay? And actually, just quickly on that, the Covey Foundation, something that we're trying to do a lot at Snowflake at the minute is, as we've grown rapidly, it's bringing together all the functions. So we all understand the same mission, the same vision of where we want to go and how we're going to get there. The Covey Foundation is very, very simple. Everyone from the CEO to the janitor knows exactly where they're going in that organization. If you go and ask anyone in the Snowflake UK team today, they will always say, if you ask them what the vision of Snowflake is in the next 4 years, they'll always say $1 billion. They will all know exactly what we're doing and how we're going to do it. Communication, very, very important. And I think my style is totally transparent, honesty. If someone asks me a question, I'll give them an honest answer. And I think just coming back here, the second part of the 5 dysfunctions of a sales team, of a team, is healthy conflict. Once you've got trust, then you can actually have a disagreement. You can have that healthy conflict. If you haven't got trust, you can't disagree. You can't have that healthy conflict. So really, really important to make sure you've got that trust. And finally, empowerment. So something I'm working on at the moment, and we're going through that sort of hyper growth stage where we're coming out of that sort of teenager phase to sort of a young adult, or even a young adult, sort of maturing is the way I would describe us, is ensuring that I can empower people to make decisions. I can empower people to hold other people accountable. You know, what I don't want is a load of leaders who are glorified salespeople. We can't scale a business like that. So for me, it's very, very important that we all become best versions of ourselves, and that ultimately helps all the leaders elevate themselves within the organization. There's 2 more. Oh, that's it. That's it. Go back. And then just for me, that wraps it around with excellence. So if you're managing those 4 components reasonably well, you're going to have a very, 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 very solid winning culture within your organization, and you're going to have excellence at the forefront of everything you do. So, whistle-stop tour. I think I'll probably be over 7 minutes. I probably have 9 minutes. But hopefully that gives you some flavor for the leadership style I have, but also there's some things that you should think about as leaders. And as you build out your professional legacy over the coming years, I wish you all the best luck, and thanks very much.